Just shut the fuck up. Now we're gonna carry on as usual because I want to be able to listen to shit on repeat today. I can just listen to the 3 episodes I did on repeat. Hell yeah. I mean, back in the day, listen, man, the kids are missing out. That's all I'm trying to say. And talking, ta- talking to these people, the good ones, it brings back my memories of shit like that. The kids these days, they don't have it. I don't think they have it as good. We had like when my band was going, we I lived in Schenectady in this place called J Street. J Street was this little block that was dedicated. It was downtown, and it was a downtown environment. You had Proctor's Theater, you had Lyle's Hoagies, which I ate every day. I lived off Lyle's Hoagies. Roast beef and provolone, no tomato, extra onion, Russian dressing, please. Can of Dr. Pepper. I think about that woman. She's got to be dead now, but I remember every day. A woman like my mother's age was. She put Russian dressing, provolone, put it together for me. And you had the Indian store. You had Pies and Miser, which was a head shop. And you'd go there, you get your fine Indian incenses. Back then, there was only one place to go. You get these extra large jaw sticks that are like 3 feet long. You can burn them in the practice room. The day started early. I rehearsed in the back of this place called Connections. First, it was called Brooklyn Looks. It started out as a clothing store, and I lived there. I lived in the back. It reminds me of like Steve Jones living at Denmark Street. They got me off the street. It had heat. It had a toilet. You had to wash in the sink. And I lived in the back there. I lived in the back of Connections, and that's where we rehearsed. My drummer came down, built a 5 foot stage, and it was fucking great. It was just like that one episode. We trashed the place one night for no particular fucking reason. We'd just get so drunk. And then we jumped in the river in February. But J Street also had, you'd walk down, um, I'd show up for practice early while the store was open because I was living there and they wanted to get me the fuck out of there so I'd have to wander around downtown all day. I don't think I was with Renee yet at this point. I was just getting with her. And you'd have to wander around all day. And Albert just got out of prison, and he got off the Amtrak station, and he moved upstairs from Cafe Dolce. Cafe Dolce was was the best cafe. It was like that was like our Cafe Wa or whatever. You had Lena's in Albany, but there was nothing like Dolce. Dolce was strictly run by a team, a squad of gay dudes that loved to bake, loved to cook. This was before there was no such thing as flavored coffee back then. You had hazelnut, you had rich roast, you had French roast, you had regular. You can go into Dolce, you can get refills all fucking day. Get cinnamon coffee, get something called Snickerdoodle. You get these amazing coffees, blueberry coffee, just and they'd let you sit there all fucking day because they did not discriminate. And so that's what we did. And all the little girls, all the gay boys, and all the little girls, everybody would skip school and go there. I'd be in Cafe Dolce all day, reading poetry, listening to poetry. Sometimes I'd play my guitar there, but I didn't want to clean up and, and sandbag everybody. So when you couldn't get a gig, you'd go there and you'd sit there all day. And I did it for years. And people would go there. We'd go out in the back. There was an alleyway you can go. And all the drunks and child molesters and criminals and crackheads would get off the bus from Amtrak station. They'd go in the back of Dolce. It looked like that. It looked like a big maze, like the Dead Boys album cover, just this little alleyway. They had cameras back then, too, in there, but you had to avoid it. People like Jessica, Albert's wife, and Bill L, and all these fucking people. And people would be shooting dope back there. I'd go back there, take my Xanax, go back inside. I used to fall asleep, pass out in the booths, and spill my coffee everywhere. They'd come over, clean it up. It's okay, Aaron. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I'll leave. And no, you don't gotta go. Just try to be careful. Sit there all day till 4 o'clock, till 5 o'clock when the store closed, and then about 6 o'clock. This is back in the day. You didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Your whole day was spent scouring for enough for a 12 pack and a pack of USA Golds, which were 250 back then. Practice would come. Tim would make a gravity bong, and we'd play. Lived there for years, and then I lived above the open door bookstore. Albert lived above Dolce, or across the street, and then you had Danny from the Corvettes who lived above Dolce too. So the street would shut down at 7:30. We'd open up the window, Albert, scream across the street, Albert. You'd hear his drum machine coming through a big PV fucking amp, and he's up there singing his songs. I'm going down to the blockhouse to drink because I drank for free at the blockhouse if I watched the door. Albert was an AA, but he would still come, and he'd sit there all night with me till 4 in the fucking morning and drink water. We had our leather jackets. Danny would come. Danny would get into a fight all the time. Danny would do the shit I used to do at QE2. He'd get drunk and steal people's drinks. And I don't know how many times we had to save Danny from getting murdered because Danny was muy flaca. He was like fucking 8 foot tall and weighed about like 90 pounds. I didn't do that at the blockhouse, but I mean, I used to do the same shit at QE2. We used to get drunk, and you don't want to stop drinking. You just walk by someone's table. Hey, motherfucker. Oh, is that your drink? I'm sorry. Put it back down, rum and cokes. But Dolce served that kind of food. I mean, way Alton Brown reminds me of those guys because that's the first time I ever seen. You can go into Dolce and be like, "Can I get a plate of pancakes?" And then I got just the thing for you: pancakes rolled in frosted flakes with with some Vermont tapped maple syrup. And I'm like, "Oh my god, are you kidding me?" And a cup of coffee. They sit right down here, and they'd make it right in front of you. Dolce. And Dolce was where I mean, it was the greatest shit in the world. You can go in there and you get, and that's the kind of, and that's where I had that sandwich too. That's right, pumpernickel bread, smoked turkey with some kind of apple puree, and it's like I don't know where you guys come from. I think they came from the city, but you motherfuckers are so cultured, and they had like a little little desserts you can get, and the girls used to cream over it. I mean, that's like now it's like if I'm gonna have a date with somebody, what the fuck would I do? Back then it was real easy. Well, let's go down to a Cafe Dolce, and you can't go wrong. You go in there, you got coffee, all kinds of desserts. They'll make you a sandwich. Whatever they got in house, they'll throw it together for you. And the sweetest bunch of dudes in the fucking world. Back then, when being gay really meant something, there was a fucking still a stigma attached to it. There was an underground nightlife. All the clubs I played at, with exception to QE2, the whole scene was run by mobsters and gay dudes, and it meant something. You were special if you were gay. You were devious. You were evil a little bit because you're operating outside the realms of society, and it created for a great. You had fucking raves. You had these awesome clubs, all done by gay dudes. And they said in that one episode that we should have went over to the fuse box. Yeah, for a little while it looked like that's what. I mean, it's dead news now, but it looked like that's what was going to go on. And when the gay dudes came in, the whole scene changed. Like he said, it became fucking immaculate. They brought back swing dancing. They brought back a curtain, which was my favorite shit. You go out on stage and they have a curtain in front of you. That that to me was the big time. I'm like, oh, every now and then get a QE2, they bring out the curtain, but they were more interested in their backdrop. But to me, that's still the highest point you can get to is like fucking behind a curtain. But yeah, there's no more Dolce. I mean, I wish that Troy had a street like that where you can go to. Smoking pot was still illegal then. You'd go into the head shops. You can't say pot. You can't say bong. You can't say. You have to point to shit. You know. and sitting behind Dolce, drinking lasers, uh, drinking Black Label, drinking fucking Crazy Horse. You know what I mean? And just that was the best shit, the best pussy coming in and out of there. I'd like to do that, man. I'd like to take a camera down there and put it on Skinny to the Cable Access. I'll have Danny, Albert, and Jessica, if you can get them in the same, and just walk around and point at the old buildings and be like, "Wow, remember uh, Radio 810? I think it was, or 1210 in Center City. This is the first time I ever fucking had my shit on the radio. Was at Center City hockey rink. You know, on Carla Page's Sweet Soul Music Show. First time I ever heard myself on the radio. It came out of the Electric City. It came out of downtown. You know, my buddy Kevin worked at Proctor's. It was 100-year-old theater, like an opera theater, and Van Curler Music. You'd go in there, and the only thing I didn't like back then is the city was infested with fucking roaches, the biggest nuclear roaches you ever seen. They called it the roach capital of the world in 1978. But I love that fucking city. You know, it looks it's sort of it's all different now. You had a CVS there. You had a fucking Woolworth. You remember Woolworth? Woolworth was still there. One of the last ones. We'd go into Woolworth and steal hair dye back when I could dye my hair. You know what I mean? The buses would be going. It was fucking great. Got arrested twice on J Street. But the best underage pussy ever. Fucking Dolce. Alton Brown should have been working down there. I mean, it's perfect dude. Because he had those kind of recipes, those delicious, ridiculous recipes. It's like, where did you? They don't teach you this shit in culinary school. Where the fuck did you learn this? Where are you getting this? You know, this place is riddled with HIV and crack cocaine. You can slip into Dolce and forget it all, and sit there and listen to poetry all day and aspiring poets and losers. You know what I mean? It's just bad poetry. We used to go in there with our handheld recorder and just record some because some of these motherfuckers were crazy out of the mental ward. But I got to get in touch with fucking Albert. That HBO special, that guy looked like Albert. It tugs at my heartstrings. I got to get back with it. You know, I wish I can go back to those days. Go back to Dolce. That's where the best ideas were cooked up. And then, across the street, go in the back of Connections, turn up the fucking amps. Forget it all.